I mean, I could talk about the friend. I mean, I lost 3-4 friends
Oh,
because
no.
of drugs. So.
Oh, no. I didn't want this to be a sad situation. Okay, well, I mean, look, there's a dark side. All right, everybody. Hello.
Hello, yes.
Welcome to Yuki and John's podcast buffet.
Okay.
Okay, so the topic that I picked today is drugs. Now, I picked it in a lighthearted way, thinking like, oh, I'll tell Yuki about the time that I fucking thought about Helen Keller where I was on mushrooms. But
I never did the mushroom. Maybe you can tell me.
I'll tell you all about it, but I forgot that there's a dark side to drugs and that people,
Well,
you know.
people die. I mean, I
know.
lost several friends because they did drugs.
Well, okay, so then we could talk about the light side of drugs and the dark side of drugs. So why don't we start with the light side of drugs?
Okay.
Then we'll get into the dark side of drugs, and then we'll bring it back to the light side of drugs because I think, you know, there is good things about drugs. Of course, there's bad things about drugs, but we'll leave it on a lighthearted note. I'll tell you a stupid story.
Yeah, I can tell you stupid, but my drug stories, I did only marijuana, so never did even coke. So.
But did you you think do you consider alcohol a drug?
No.
Do you consider pharmaceuticals drugs, like or anything that that you get from a pharmacy, like Vicodins, any painkillers?
No, those. See, that's something I don't understand. Like drinking, it's drink. So, you know, if you're alcoholic, I don't know about that because actually, I control how much I drink because I know how much I drink. So I can't keep drinking like people say, oh, well, you know, I had a hard life, so I went to drinking, and I don't get it.
Well, I had a mediocre life, and I drink my balls off when I can. I just love drinking. I don't know why. It's like there's something about, you know, you get that first 3 drinks in you, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I might as well keep going. It's a sickness.
Oh, how can, like, you know, some people drink in the morning, like,
Oh.
and then if you drink vodka, it's automatically, I think, like, oh my god, this person has a problem.
What you just said every Russian on earth has a fucking problem.
Because, you know, drinking beer every day and then drinking vodka 8 o'clock in the morning, a totally different story.
Well, okay, so either both of them, if you're doing it every day, all day, is absolutely bad for you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's just bad. And for me personally, luckily, I was never a person who needed to drink ever. I never needed to wake up and have a drink. Even, like, I don't even understand the idea of a hair of the dog. Like, after having a hangover to then put more alcohol in my body makes me fucking physically ill. Like, so to do that, it's hard. But I have been known to drink an entire bottle of vodka. I've done it in my time, absolutely. And it's like, I don't know, it's like a compulsion sort of, but it's also fun. It's like drinking is fucking fun. It's bad for you, but I know it's bad for you, but it's fun. You don't like the feeling of being drunk?
No, I mean, it's painful, and then okay. When I was a kid, you know, because you start drinking, and then in the beginning, you don't know how much you can drink, right? So sooner or later, you drink until you pass out, or you know, puking, you know, wake up in the morning and your face is in your own puke.
Yeah.
Then you know how much you can drink. So from that moment, I don't go beyond my limit.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me.
He's allergic to talking about alcohol.
So, then, you know, I know my limit. So, I was 21 or 2. So, since then, I never passed out because I said, oh, this is it. So I stopped drinking. Yeah.
We got Yuki's alarm clock going off.
Yes, I'm sorry.
He forgot it was time to sneeze, and he did it before the alarm went off.
So, yeah.
So, okay, but you have enjoyed an alcoholic beverage, an adult beverage here and there, and
yeah. Then, you know, since then, I mean, I drink 1 beer, maybe 2 beer, 1 glass of wine. That's about it.
So, yeah, and don't get me wrong, I actually am surprised that I didn't have a worse problem with alcohol. Like I was pretty good. Like I mean, I drank a lot in my 20s, but it never got to the point where my entire life was, what's the word? Like was destroyed because of alcohol. I was always able to stop. I was always able to like go 3 weeks, 4 weeks without drinking and then get back into it or whatever. So I was lucky in that way. But, you know, there's alcoholism runs in my family. There's people who were drunks, you know, bad drunks. And it's a sad life because it fucking destroys you from the inside out. And I don't know. But even with that information, I still like partying. I like drinking at a bar. I love doing shots. I love tequila. I love the taste of whiskey. I know not everybody feels that way, but I love it. A beer, mead. You ever have mead?
No.
It's like honey wine. It's so good.
Oh,
like
yeah?
just all sorts of stuff. And there's something to be said about the merriment of getting drunk and having your inhibitions taken down. And
I mean, if you're drunk and then you go happy way, that's fine. But some people go dark.
Oh, yeah. And look, I am sometimes a happy drunk and sometimes I'm a dark drunk. I've been both. I've been known to be both. Sometimes I have a thing that comes out of me. You know the singer Billy Joel?
Yeah.
I become Bully Joel. I become a bully. And I'll be like, you don't know anything about life, you fucking piece of shit. Yeah. When I get really like bad drunk, it's bad.
But how when you happy, when you're bad, I mean...
It probably depends on what's going on in my life. So when I'm happy, it's things are going good. When I'm unhappy, things are going bad. That's why I've sort of like started to really stop drinking a lot. Like I drank. I haven't drank in like over a month, even a single beer. But then one day a friend came over, we had some beers, and that was it. I had a few beers, and that was it. But in my 20s, I would if a friend came over and I had some beers, that meant I was drinking fucking 12 hours, you know. But now it's like 2 or 3. So as I've grown, I've been able to get out of that hole. But we've said that alcohol, you don't consider alcohol a drug.
No.
So I'm good.
You good, yeah. I mean, it's not drug, it's alcohol. So, but except, this guy I was working with, he's not my friend. So, but when I was working with him, every night we had a beer. But this guy, when he drinks, he becoming a totally different person. And then violence, I mean, his eyes like this. And then, he start
fighting and
then
yeah.
And the next day, he doesn't remember.
Oh, yeah, blackouts.
So I mean, totally blacks out. But if he's happy, that's fine. But every time he drunk, he just to have fight.
Yeah.
Until, somebody get hurt. That I don't understand. Like, hey, I learn how much I drink. Then he never learns. Every night he passed out, drink, and then and then doesn't remember he had a big fight. And then, how this happened, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's sick.
It is sick, and it's hard to get out of that situation because you think you're having fun because the alcohol obviously is filling some sort of a void in your life that you don't know is either you don't know is there or you're actively trying to forget,
Right.
And I feel like for me, especially in my 20s, it was all positive. I was having a great time. I was living in LA. I was partying. I was going out. I was, having a great time. And then sometimes in my 30s, it was like, I'm not where I want to be. So I'm drinking to escape the reality, And it sucks. It really sucks. But I think nowadays it's more about just doing it when the occasion arrives. Instead of planning a whole day around the drink, you plan your life. And then when the drinks happen, it happens. It's not like seeking it out on purpose to make that the main event, And I personally, it sounds worse than it actually was for me. I never had like a deep dark despair where I hit rock bottom that bad, But it was hard to separate fun from being sober. Sometimes I would think, oh, we're not drinking tonight. What the fuck? This is boring, But now I don't feel that way. I like to look into your eyes as a sober man and
no, 1 beer is, 1 glass of wine is fine, but just I don't know. I never really went to that much drinking, and except when I found out my limit. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Now, psychedelic drugs is a whole different story. You know psychedelic drugs?
No, what's...
So psychedelic drugs is like mushrooms,
Oh, okay.
acid, mescaline.
I never did that. I
Peyote.
only did was like marijuana. So
I think marijuana is in that subsection of like psychotropic. I forgot the exact phrasing, but it's like branched off in that because it gives you altered states of mind
right.
that are semi-similar to psychedelics.
Psychedelics is. I heard. Well, I have my experience like when you do marijuana, and then when you look at the lava lamp.
So you used to smoke a doob and stare at a lava lamp?
Yeah. Why that works? I mean, white lava lamp is so funny.
Because it's awesome. You got the balls
Yeah.
stretching and moving and all that
Yeah.
shit, and it doesn't look like anything else on Earth. It's amazing.
That's amazing experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I heard it, that's bullshit. You know, it's not funny, but when I did it, it was funny.
It is funny. There's nothing funnier than a blob of shit that pulls itself
Yeah.
apart and becomes another blob of shit. I love it. I love lava lamps.
Yeah.
You know what else I love when I'm high? Black lights. You ever be
Oh yeah, black light. Yeah.
Those like black, fluorescent.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so cool because everything turns. Your teeth
Right,
turn blue.
right,
Everything's fucking
right.
blue world.
So it's a light. The special light is the key.
It affects your.
Yeah,
it affects you.
yeah.
I love it. There's a funny story.
And then I told you, right? I was smoking, and I was in the electric room when the Pope came.
Yes.
And then the
aura.
Yeah. Well, then there's Secret Service and busted. Came and busted us. I thought I was going to jail, but
Pope jail.
Pope jail.
He would have taken you in no marijuana for 30 days. But so you smoked a doobie when you were working on the show for the Pope in the basement of some place where the Pope was coming, right?
Yeah, and then they have a sniffing dog everywhere.
Yes.
So probably dog came and then probably Secret Service. So some bad guys have a special meeting, and then when they open it, smells like kids are just smoking.
Oh, but then you guys got caught, and they were
Right.
like, oh, these are the guys working on the show.
So yeah. Electrician and props and then stage hand but good thing is like that he said we have more important things to do, guys. Put it out and get back to work.
All right.
Yeah, so we did. Yeah.
That's fair enough. Some authority figures could be, could have busted you for that, but they just said put it out, get back to work. And then you luckily got to shake the hands of the aura of the Pope.
Yeah. So
Not the actual Pope. The Pope's aura reached out and touched your
but
hand.
nothing to do is, I was
Marijuana?
a stone. Yeah. But
you
many
sure?
says Yuki, you're stoned.
Yeah, come on. I feel like you were fucking high. You were high as fuck.
But then that was a good experience, funny experience. But I lost a lot of friends because they did the coke.
Oh, now we're in the dark side. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's really sad because coke, to me, is like really hard to reconcile between the fun and the detrimental effects. Because, and especially nowadays with fentanyl, you could just snort a line of coke and drop dead. Your heart could fucking stop
Right.
because the fentanyl's in there and you don't know what's in there. And in fact, I think a lot of people now have like fentanyl strips that they test their drugs with because you don't know what it's laced with. You don't know what the fucking putting in there.
No.
So you've never tried cocaine?
No, never. Don't. Well, people who does it, they doing it, but Yuki, don't you ever do this? So I.
Good. Yeah. I mean, I tried it a few times, and
How was it?
I didn't really like it. It would make my fucking jaw go and my fucking face go and
But
then it made me want to.
Did you feel like that?
It felt okay, like but you're only like that for like 10 minutes, and then the rest of the night is going, I want more, I want more, I want more. So the whole night becomes revolved around, I do a line, and then I didn't get enough, and then you just keep going, and then if you have enough, you keep doing it, and you could possibly die because you did too much. So it doesn't seem
So
like
what the feeling is like you getting hyper or
yeah, it feels like
what do
you
feel?
for a minute you feel like invincible, like I'm the greatest motherfucker on the face of the planet, and you're just walking around and you can talk to anybody. You feel like you're the fucking life of the party. You feel like you're number one in the world. You feel like you can walk up to the president and the president will be like, Mr. Brennan, it's great to meet you. Like that's how fucking good you feel, right? Unfortunately, then it makes you want to shit your pants.
Oh really?
Oh man, I don't know what it was. A couple of times I did it. Probably had baby laxative or something in it, and immediately I felt like I had to take a shit, but not a hard shit, like a wet shit. So it gave me diarrhea. So I said, "What is the point of this? This is stupid." So I never did it again. I maybe did it like 4 or 5 times, and it really just wasn't for me.
Good things you quit, then if you keep doing and you maybe
I'm not going to say I don't understand why people get addicted. I totally understand why. Because I probably got shit coke, and that's probably why I hated it. If you get the good stuff,
yeah,
I can imagine that feeling that I had those few times that it was good for 10 minutes. Amplify that by like 100 because it's good, and then it lasts longer when it's good. Forget it. Then I would understand. So I'm kind of grateful I got shitty coke.
Funny thing is that the long time ago, my friends started doing it when they were 20s. 6 of them, 3 died in their 40s, 3 stroke 40s. So I think that's kind of area.
Yeah.
If you start doing in your 20s, after 10 some years,
it really takes a toll,
yeah. Either you die or, have a stroke. And then, so those 3 friends had a stroke. Of course, after stroke, they had a, cardiac arrest, and then they're gone anyway. So I lost 6 friends altogether.
That's horrible, yeah. I mean, I've lost people in my life due to drugs and stuff. And it's hard because sometimes you try to tell them,
right,
and they don't want to hear it.
No, one of the friends, he goes, you shouldn't do it. He goes, Yuki, I love doing this. If I die tomorrow, I'm happy. So I stopped saying, okay, he's happy. And then one of the 6 was him. So I said, okay, He said it. And then now he's gone. So,
but do you think he really was happy doing that? Do you think, like, secretly, he wasn't just hiding something or filling?
I don't know. He said, Yuki, I love doing this. So I take his word for it.
Wow. I mean, that's so hard because I personally love living and I don't want to die.
Yeah. But he did say it. So, okay, Yuki, if I die tomorrow, I will be happy. So there's nothing I can say more.
Wow. Maybe some people were just put on this earth just to do coke. That's it. Because Carl Sagan said, we are the way that the cosmos witnesses itself. That's why we were able to develop consciousness and stuff. So maybe some people were put on this earth to understand what it's like to do cocaine, die, and then report back to the cosmos. This was what it was like to be a cocaine addict. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry for your loss because that's really hard. I
mean, I'm sorry for the 5 of them, but the one, I'm happy for him. He said it.
He followed his dreams.
Yeah, he said it. He got it. So I have nothing to say about that.
Jesus Christ. I never smoked crack.
Okay.
Never did heroin. I've done pills, and I hated them. I fucking never, ever, ever liked pills except one time when I had my wisdom teeth taken out and I got Vicodins, and I needed it. Like,
so those are like painkillers?
Painkillers. But people take Vicodins for fun. Some people, like Matthew Perry, the guy from Friends who you love so much, he was addicted to Vicodins, he said. Which is hard because, I don't even know what a Vicodin feels like without pain. But I can imagine it feels amazing because it fucking got me through like this. I had horrible impacted wisdom tooth that they took out when I was like, I don't know, 17 or 18. And my face swelled. And without those Vicodins, I don't think I would have gotten through it.
So how the painkiller work? I mean, it's
all of a sudden. So I mean, in my experience, because like I said, the only other time I ever did like pills and stuff, I would do them around booze and stuff. I just didn't like them, and I never really felt good. And then once or twice I tried a pill, just sitting there watching TV or something, and I was like, this is fucking horrible. I'd feel like sick. And everybody else was like, "These are the best."
Okay, well, if you feel sick, why you drink then?
No. Sometimes, and this isn't a lot. This is only like maybe a dozen times. But I never tried it again because it just was like it didn't mix. But you know how people are. They're all doing this. Now you got to try this. You got to try that. And when you're a young man, you say, "All right, yeah, maybe I'll try it. I mean, I like this. Maybe I'll like that." And I never had a pill that I liked except for that Vicodin because it. So with the wisdom teeth, I really was in pain. Like it was swelling and it was they had to scrape it out or whatever because it was like in my jaw. So it was a major surgery and I was really writhing in pain. I remember actually I couldn't really even eat. I was like sucking stuff through like smoothies through straws. And I remember vividly, I always have this vision of, it was around the time the Phantom Menace came out. And there was a video game of the Phantom Menace and I was playing it. But I was in such pain that I was like hallucinating that I was Mace Windu, the fucking Samuel L. Jackson character. And but I was popping the Vicodin to like get off of the feeling of swelling and beating in my skull. That I started to feel really good, and I just sort of melted into the couch, and the pain went away. It was like almost like
So it is painkiller then.
Total painkiller. For that, however long the pills lasted for me, and after a few days, I was sort of starting to heal very nicely. But they gave me like 24 Vicodins and then a refill, and I never even used the refill. I just used and then I gave the refill to somebody else. I said, "Here, you fucking take it, refill it," and then they took the pills and they liked them.
Those you need the prescription.
Yeah, the doctor gives you the Vicodin, but people
so you can just buy it then.
No, not Vicodins. Okay. No, and most drugs like that are painkillers or prescription. Yeah.
So how do the addicted people? How do they get the prescription? I mean,
I'm sure there's some people out there who are doctors. I'm not disparaging all doctors. I'm just saying there are pharmacists and doctors that probably do it. You can buy them on the street.
Well, how people having those in the street?
They got a connection. They got somebody who can do it, and they distribute it, and they make the money, and da-da-da-da-da-da. It's the hierarchy. But you know what? Not to give anybody any ideas, but you can also trip out if you really want to by drinking cough syrup. Robitussin. When I was a young man, there was a thing called robo-tripping, where you would go to the fucking drugstore, get a bottle of Robitussin, and drink the whole thing and trip the fuck out, and it works.
You know those Vicks?
Yeah, the Vicks Vapor Rub?
Yeah! You can't bring that in Japan, though.
No?
No, because
it gets you high?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's weird. I mean, what was the other thing? This is all when I was really young, like high school or college. I tried Special K. You know what that is?
No.
K is like a cat tranquilizer or a horse tranquilizer. It's one or the other. It's a tranquilizer for a horse or a cat. But when humans do it, it fucking gets you really fucked up.
Oh my god.
And you're sitting in what they call a K-hole. So your whole body feels good, but you can't really
So
move.
if it's those for animal, you can get it easily then, no?
I think, in the 90s it was around. People used to fucking go on Special K, that's what they called it, Special K, to like the clubs and stuff, and they would do bumps of K and be like, roar.
Yeah. Well, in Japan, it's very strict, right? So what the kids do is go buy thinner at the paint shop.
They would huff paint thinner?
Yeah.
See, now that's a bridge too far. Huffing glue, huffing shit.
And then what they do is the cotton, put in the thinner, put in the plastic bag, and go.
Oh, man. The closest I came to that is sniffing a Sharpie. You ever sniff a Sharpie?
Yeah,
it smells
it's gross,
good.
Yes,
I like them. Or like those really thick magic markers. You like,
yeah.
It smells good.
But many kids damage their brain.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Huffing paint thinner or gasoline or glue, it's fucking pure chemical madness.
Yeah. But in Japan, you can't get the other stuff. So those some genius kids, so
they figure it out. Yeah. When I was in high school, there was a story going around that kids would dip their marijuana joints in formaldehyde.
Oh my god!
But they got all fucked up. It's no good. It's not a good idea. What's like the most popular party drug in Japan?
We don't have much.
Really? Not ecstasy, not...
No, I mean, you can get it, but normal people, we don't know how to get it.
Right.
You have to be, gang related or yakuza related.
Oh,
So you
but
have,
even in the days that you were the Saturday Night Fever type of disco man, people weren't doing drugs?
No, I didn't do it. No, I didn't see anybody doing it.
Wow.
I mean, that's Japan, Okay, the funny story is the Beatles, the Paul McCartney came to Japan.
Yeah.
He had the...
Hash, right?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
he's busted. And joke was only people, who heard his song was in the prisoner.
What?
Because he couldn't get in. He went to the jail directly and then stayed a couple nights. And they sent him back to London. So he didn't have a concert.
Oh, I see. So the only people who heard his songs were in the jail.
Yeah.
Personally, I think I'm glad that weed is going the way of legalizing it
Right.
because it's just not that. It's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. If you're gonna legalize alcohol, fucking weed is nothing.
Yeah. But it's scary. What if, like a bus driver, subway driver
Well, that I
doing
agree.
this, then
Yeah.
you know how he funny, I don't care. Then, boom, they can crash the car, right?
I wholeheartedly agree. Just like the way that they regulate drinking and driving, marijuana and driving should not be a thing. I
Right.
mean, it's fucking bad news, especially for somebody working with the public. Yeah.
Right, that's my scare, maybe
Yeah.
okay to do that. But
Funny.
but when, you have a responsibility over those our life, then that can be right.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. So to graduate a little bit from what we're talking about, I have had a lot of experience, probably more than anything other drug, other than if you consider alcohol a drug, is psychedelic drugs.
Oh.
I've done mushrooms and acid a few times, and
What's like a mushroom?
oh boy, Yuki, it's like going to another dimension.
It's better than marijuana.
It's different in the way that marijuana is a fun hour at most, sort of, unless you do an edible and you're fucking 6 hours high. I hate that shit.
Right.
But if you smoke a joint, it's like an hour. It lasts at most,
Right.
and you're fucking, you have maybe 15 minutes of insanity, and then you're done. Mushrooms take you to another place. I mean, they take you to... You could be on the fucking the surface of Jupiter, and you wouldn't even give a
So
fuck.
when you going another place, you know what you're doing now. I mean,
Sometimes you're in and out of reality in the way. So okay, one of the last times that I tripped, I had this really interesting experience where everything that I looked at, I can only see a shape. I wasn't seeing the thing in of itself. So any section of the room that I look would be another shape. So say like over there by the window, that would be a rectangular shape, and I wouldn't see the window or anything. I would just see shapes. Then I would look in another place and I would see a square. I would look in another place, I would see a triangle. But everywhere I looked and every new step I took was a new environment, to the point where the geometry was just like... pew, 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 pew. And it was the fucking most bizarre experience I ever had, because a lot of times mushrooms for me are body and like I'm laughing and stuff. But this was pure visual, like madness, where it was like being in another world. But it was awesome. I loved it because I was like, "Holy shit! I'm on the surface of Jupiter. It's crazy."
how about the damage to your body?
Some shrooms. Unfortunately, like I don't know the real studies, but apparently, shrooms are starting to be proven that they're not that bad for you, because psychiatric people are starting to look into giving people microdoses for therapy and things like that. Shrooms are natural. They grow on cow shit, right? And they're just these little spurs and growths, and then they come out and you eat them and they go through you just like regular mushrooms. But they do affect you, and I think that if you do have a predisposed ailment, say mentally, it might help bring that out and amplify it. So it might not be necessarily great if you have mental health issues to go and drop a hero dose, which is like 3.5 grams of fucking mushrooms or more, and freak out because it might help amplify some of the problems that you have in your mind. But if you are, willing to do the work and also tell the drug, because the drug is sort of a living being in my opinion, the mushroom anyway, and you say, I'm here for an experience and I'm here to respect you and I want a good time, that usually the drug will bestow that upon you. But if you go in willy-nilly, acting a fool, being like, it's time to fucking Stroop, baby, we're gonna do... Sometimes you have a bad trip and you go fucking bonkers. One time, I was sitting there on a curb and I was tripping my balls off and I had a bad sunburn and I was just having a bad night. Like, I was just feeling bad and I shouldn't have been tripping. But I started to think and I was like, what would the world be like for Helen Keller? No joke.
Right.
And I looked up at the moon and I said, how did Helen Keller experience the moon? And then I started to think, what if I was deaf and blind and I couldn't speak? And then I started to freak out because my body felt bad from the sunburn. My mind felt bad from going into this dark place to imagine what it would be like. And I started to have a bad trip and I couldn't get out of it.
Wow.
So it can take you to those places if you're not careful. But if you go in with a positive attitude and saying, I want to have a good time, we're going to make the environment nice, you're not with people who suck, it works.
You should do it in the right place and right time then
Environment is almost 90% of what... Environment and the people you're around can really change.
I don't know any plane pilot doing that when they are flying.
Oh, airplane? Boy! That'll be an interesting flight, I'll tell you that much. Be doing loop-de-loops on the way to fucking Japan. You'll be like, wee! Acid is a different experience. Similar but different. Acid is, you could tell it's a chemical. It's like...
Right.
Like, with shrooms, the way that I could describe it is it's like butterflies and shapes and stuff. With acid, it's melty. There's like everything's melting. Even your inside, everything's like coming down, and at least in my experience, and sometimes it's really cool.
So sometimes it more comes you down than compared
well,
to
no,
the other.
No. It's melting as in you can get totally hyper, of course. Melting in the way that
what way?
Like the world around you melts, and it's like everything. Like if you put your hand on the table and then you pull it away, you feel like you're stuck to that table, and it comes with you.
It's like a lava lamp.
Yeah, it's like a lava lamp. All the
Have you done it?
Yeah, and so, but acid lasts a much longer time. Acid lasts like could last up to 12 hours if it really.
Wow, so you're not really functioning.
No, I mean that was fucking when I used to do it. I would have to be prepared to not be normal.
Again, has to be right time and right place to do that. Then.
Yep. Oh man, it was really bad. This one time I took a dose and I didn't realize it was going to be for so long, and I had to go to work the next day.
But it's so funny because the people don't die in these, right?
Some do. Some go nuts.
People do die from the coke, but
yeah, I don't know if they die physically from the LSD, but it can lead to people doing stupid things and fucking up and jumping off buildings,
really?
mental breakdowns. I mean, it's an urban legend, but it's also true. I mean, I've known people who whose minds have been completely altered by psychedelic drugs to the point where they're not the same person afterwards. And was it them or the drug? It was probably them first that had something wrong, and then the drug amplified it to a place where it just ruined them.
So you becoming another person, then they don't come back.
Sometimes you don't come back. Sometimes you're off forever.
Oh my god!
It's sad.
Sad.
Yeah, it is sad, and it's nothing to be. I personally think that psychedelic drugs are good, but you really need to be careful and prepared for them. You shouldn't just jump into them without doing some research, without having somebody with you who's done them before. It's very important. Yeah. It's rough.
It sounds marijuana is a lot better than...
Marijuana is the easiest, then drinking, then mushrooms, in my opinion. Those are the ones that I like the most and have had the best experiences on. Also, ecstasy, which is Molly, they call it. Or Molly, ecstasy, whatever. Yeah, that I've had fun on too, but the come down is
sounds like
horrible.
ecstasy isn't that for sex?
So there was the rumor, the urban legend going around, like, oh, if you do Molly and you have sex, you're never gonna want to have sex without doing Molly again. That's bullshit. It's not true. But but Molly is good when you're out partying because you could dance all night and you fucking feel like you're on top of the world. And it's like, but unfortunately, it's the same thing. You could get the mixture wrong, and people could put in garbage things inside of it, and it's just.
I was dancing all night without anything, and
yeah, but you're the Tokyo Cowboy. You fucking not everybody's as amazing
I was,
as you.
20s, and so yeah, and then dancing all night, and then going to work.
Yeah.
From the morning, so yeah.
So when I was on LSD and I had to go to work, I worked at a gym, and I was the towel boy, and I had to fucking be tripping on acid giving out towels to naked men. Let me tell you.
How was it?
It was fucking bizarre. I never saw balls bounce that way in my life. There was this old man, his balls were so fucking far down. I was fascinated. I couldn't look away. His balls were like halfway down his thighs because he was just so old and they dropped so low. And he didn't care. He didn't put a towel on.
Is that the other thing, or you just in your mind?
No, it was real because the next time I was sober and I was like, I gotta see if this guy's balls were really that fucked up.
So he was the same thing?
The balls, I'm not even exaggerating. They were halfway down his thigh. They were so...
So here? His knee?
No, like half, like not to his knee, but halfway down to his knee. So it was hanging so low that they were oh my god, I never saw anything like it.
How big is his ball? Like
they were big.
Ball?
They were like I wouldn't say they were elephant. They were a little bit bigger than golf balls. This guy, man, he must have had
baseball.
Small in a baseball, bigger than a golf ball.
Oh my god, that's
it
pretty
was
big.
bizarre. Well, that job was bizarre in general. We'll talk about jobs at another episode. But yeah, that was a very strange place to be. But you want to know one of the happiest moments in my entire life?
No.
You don't want to know?
No, I
So one of the happiest moments, I've
yes.
had many happy moments in my life, and I really have loved my life in many ways. But one of my happiest moments was on drugs. Oh. And I was on 2 drugs at once. I was on LSD, and I was on mushrooms and Molly, which is ecstasy.
Same time?
Yes. And I was at a fish festival. So Fish, the band, we talked about Fish one time. They did a festival in Maine, and basically it was 3 days, and each day they would do 2 or 3 sets of music, and you camp. So it's like Woodstock, but only with one band.
Okay.
And whatever. Some people hate Fish. I love them. But I was young. I was like 19 or 20 or 21, somewhere in college. And we were drinking, having a good time. So I said, why not? I'm here for the day, and I have nothing else to do. Let's fucking try it. Because everybody says, they called it flower flipping, which is mushrooms and Molly at the same time. So I did it.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was fucking amazing. And I was having such a good day. And the music started. And the sun was going down, and I was across a field walking towards where the stage was, and the field was sort of empty. There was some people around, and the song that they started playing was a Bob Marley song called Mellow Moods. You know that song?
No.
I'll play your favorite song, darling. We can rock it all night long, darling. And so that beautiful music starts playing, and the sun's going down, and I'm fucking on these drugs, and I'm feeling so good, and I'm happy that I have like a whole nother day with my friends, and I'm just like, this is the most beautiful moment in my entire life. And it was one of the greatest fucking moments. So thanks to drugs, I had a great fucking moment.
To this day, still that's the best.
I mean, I'm not going to say it was the best, but when people say that drugs are all bad, they're not always all bad. Sometimes they give you those euphoric moments like that, and I can't say that I regret that moment in any way, shape, or form, because I had just a beautiful experience that I will remember until the day I die. So sometimes drugs... I'm not telling people out there to do drugs, but I'm saying for me, sometimes they're all right. But then again, I've known some people who passed, and it's really not fun. And
overdo is anyway no good.
No. Anything, just like anything with food, with
anything, overeating is no good either. So yeah, well, no drinking too much, and as long as you do the right amount.
Yeah, right. So I guess if anybody out there is listening and you think you might have a problem, probably the best thing to do is to figure out how to slow down or stop and talk to somebody. So if your family is telling you, or friends, like you are overdoing it and you don't want to listen, you should just like take,
listen,
right? Unless you're your friend who said I'm happy.
Right. Unless you want, you won't die tomorrow and you're happy.
Right.
Then, you should listen to the people. Yeah.
Right. So, like I said, we're not endorsing it for anybody 100%. We're not saying that you should go out and do these drugs or stuff like that. But if you're doing them, do them responsibly.
Do it right.
Do it in the right way. Do it with the right environment, and maybe with people who know what they're talking about.
Right.
Don't just take drugs from strangers. I know that sounds ridiculous, but anytime I've ever had drugs, I usually trust the person that I've bought them from.
Right.
That was something. There goes the alarm.
There was
It's Yuki's drug alarm. He needs to sneeze again.
But
But yeah, so just be responsible. Be careful. And if you think you have a problem, there's a lot of places out there that you can go or call or figure out. I mean, there's beautiful rehabs. There's all sorts of things. And there's nothing to be ashamed about either, is if you have a problem, right?
Yeah, you just fix it.
You fix it. You go out and you talk to Yuki Nakamura and he'll tell you. This.
I tell you not to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So any final words, Yuki, besides what I just said?
Yes, don't do it. That's the best. But if you can't stop, do it right.
There you go. Just say maybe.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This has been another incredible episode of Yuki and John's podcast buffet. As always, it's been a fucking pleasure, Yuki.
Same here, John.
Right? I mean, and we also want to thank all you guys out there for listening.
We
want to thank our patrons. Oh, man, what a beautiful set of people out there.
Yes.
Who give us...
I like to meet them. Let's do, picnic, potluck picnic in Central Park someday.
Yeah, Yuki wants to do a potluck picnic in Central Park. And our original number was if we get 150 patrons, that we'll have a potluck picnic in Central Park where we'll provide all the food, we'll bring the festivities,
drink,
and it'll be a lot of fun. But we're about halfway there, so
really halfway?
About halfway, yeah, just about.
Wow.
So let's if people want to, or we'll do it and we'll fund the whole thing. And if we get the $28,000 tier, because we have a $28,000 tier that if somebody wants to give us $28,000 for a month,
if we have a 28,000, then we can provide the food and drink. Doesn't have to be potluck then.
Right, we'll provide food, drink, and
maybe,
some alcohol,
maybe
a little marijuana, a little mushrooms. We're not promising anything. We're just making jokes. But if we get $28,000, we'll throw a fucking bash.
Yes.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Keep that in mind. Oh, and then we also said we'll donate 10% to the St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Yes, we do. And then
on that note, everybody, look up Bad Dragon Toys, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week
on the podcast buffet.
Thank you. Bye.
Yuki and John's Patreon buffet.